Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 8/4/25. This is going to be very interesting, folks, and like with all episodes, before anything begins, I now open this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to please come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous type beings to be swept away, so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, in great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it. This is actually going to be a very interesting topic, but there were two sources here that actually wanted to actually do the same as you saw in the Q&A shows, where you had the affirmation and blessing. We may or may not choose to always do that on regular shows, but on Q&As you'll see it. We may start up the practice, or we continually add those in for all of them, but which is interesting. This one was an interesting source. So. Those that claim the noblest of paths often are the darkness in disguise. The warrior is great so long as it remains within goodness and righteousness of spirit. The warrior fails when it is gaslit into the abyss. And that is from wrestler Hulk Hogan. So I thought that was actually interesting. He's actually become a very high up one now in a very short period of time, from our perspective. So
we have to say it's pretty interesting lately, because we've not really been in a place of receiving so many celebrities that have come through. That's been something very interesting. It's probably timely because of some of the things that have been going on and being uncovered about lack of professional behavior, and again, beings wanting to come through to talk about their time here, as well as just the simple fact that it really has always been there, an undertow and an ugliness that people tend to get into. And they really wanted to have these conversations. It's just really weird because it's not normally the venue that we seem to delve into, but
it's delved into us, apparently.
It's delved into us, and and again, with what we kind of talk about in general, it does make sense. It's just, I have to just kind of say, we're both kind of, wow, this is wild, you know what I mean, to be involved in these types of conversation. But we do desperately do try to let people know what's kind of in the unseen undertow of what's going on in different places, so it does make sense.
It does make sense. And what seems to tie some of these sources that at least one of them that's going to be channeling today into this particular topic that we seem to have conjured up, or it's conjured us up, apparently. Communication hygiene. And this falls under the previous, the bad effects of good intentions and the bad effects of bad intentions. It falls under this category, under a subheading of those categories. Or intent would be the top category, and those would fall under that. I find this very, very interesting, because it also depends on what you're attached to. You hear me say this with healers, you hear me say this with readers of all kinds, from tarot readers to Reiki healers to any of them. You get into this category, you get into doing these things, you have to be far more rigorous about your healing, inner healing, your shadow work, and your cleanliness of what you're in and around, even what you intake and what your toxins you're around. You have to be anal retentive about this, and not to the extreme OCD. That's the other end of the spectrum. That's not what I'm talking about. This is more in a balanced way. And when, say, if somebody like myself or of that nature is trying to tell you, hey, you're attached to something, it might be shooting something towards our end. Or if you have an altar, let's say, that is doing some things in the background, it falls into the altar category as well, under another other subheading of that because if somebody has heightened psionic abilities or projected poltergeist. If you're holding something back, it projects another part of self out, and that could be harassing somebody. Again, alter. That they like to put that legend to young women, but it happens to everybody. But that has an alter. But the hygiene, communication hygiene specifically. Say if I was doing a session with someone and I couldn't grasp or cleanse a particular thing, if I didn't take the due diligence and the time to fix a particular problem, I could end up copying and pasting that onto that person as I'm fiddling around in their energy to fix it. Whatever this is could copy and paste onto them and replicate like a virus. This does happen, folks. And that's why we always said tarot card readers, you can't just rapid fire people. It's for this reason. It's for this exact reason. And also readers, you can't rapid fire people like that, where you go into a Zoom call and you're rapid firing a bunch of people. Something. No, this is why I do one a day. It's not only taxing, but it would hurt the other person for this reason. If you don't take your due diligence, if you do not take the self-care side seriously, it will come back to bite you because this is just crazy how bad this can get. Also, if you're attacked, and some people may disagree with me on this subject, if you're attached, excuse me, to like a religious community, like the extreme of the extreme, if you are attached to a demigod of some kind, and that you are, say, it's from some cultural custom or something like that, and you are trying to do a session, or if you're trying to apply a religious bias to a session, you can end up bringing that point of view with you. You could call that almost like a mini incursion in someone's energy, kind of like the whole multiversal thing with the incursions from Marvel kind of thing, where a perspective then is copy and paste stamped into another reality and screws up another reality. Think of it that way, where you're taking your perspective of what you believe reality is. You're wadding this up, and or you're taking it in a knapsack or a satchel or a backpack of some kind, and you're carrying it with you. What happens when you are going into a session? You are not only calling on whomever it is you're worshiping to help out, you're actually taking the energies of that copy paste and still stamping it onto that person. Also, one other aspect to this, if you have a bunch of garbage around here that you're not cleaning up, say if you have a bunch of demonic entities around that you're not cleaning up, and if you have the ability to look and bilocate at people, and say if you have a fairly strong ability, not only do you have the capability of clearing that in 2 seconds flat, but if you're bilocating, you're making a trail with you miles long where these demons can slip and slide along that trail. And this goes for any time frame, universe, and or timeline as well. This is a quantum entanglement in its purest sense, where you bilocate, you're having this trail with you. Your quantum footprint is traced. Either government can do it, demons can do it, aliens can do it. The way I prevent this a lot of times is I visualize burning my shoes, and people think that's silly. That is basically you're burning the quantum pathway. I put a net over the top of those shoes after it's burning to cinder, and I basically say the net is uncreating then that burning set of shoes. And then I put a big lava flow over the top of it to seal the door. I say, basically, lava drowned, you meaning door shut. I do that for spirit world portals. I do it for every portal. And my exact words are this. I basically say net, nothing, net, uncreate you. And then I say hot lava, drowned you. That means door shut. That is, I know it's weird vernacular, but that's what that defines as. When I do that, that clears the quantum pathway to where I can continue doing what I'm doing. If you are not doing these things or in some variation of that, you don't have to do the exact words I just said, but you at least have to open and close your circles properly. And you have to understand that your environment and yourself is the primary care. not your client. Your client is second. You're just like some people will say in business, oh, like, oh, the customer's always right. No, the person that owns the business comes first. Then you have an idea of what the customer wants at that point. People think of it backwards with energy. They think of it backwards too, but they always must think of the other person. Like it's a selfless act kind of thing. Oh, then if I do the other thing, oh, I'm service to self. This is that new age premise of service to others, service to self. Don't think of it this way. If you are being supposed selfish, not necessarily in the narcissistic kind of way, but in the you're serving yourself, not self-serving. You see what I did with the change of the words, the wordsmithing there. If you're doing the good kind, you are regenerating yourself. I'm not saying be lazy and take months to do absolutely jack. That's not what I'm saying. Find times to carve out to correct these problems that you have, especially if you do a lot of sessions like I do. You must carve out that time. And if you are just somebody getting into this and you have other people blocking you, you have other people basically saying, oh, you have this crap on you, this is what you need to do, don't expect some higher deity somewhere to do it for you. And if they're saying, somebody says you have an imposter around you, you got to take care of this. Uh, Take care of it. Also, don't just expect me to either clean it up all the time and or always give you pieces to fix this. Somebody I had to refuse pieces and service to recently because of this thing, where this person was not getting rid of the demonic entities because of some religious attachment and environmental attachment, but then wanting the pieces to repel. It's like, no, you have the ability to repel this. But each time you attach to me or ask me anything, you're throwing this at me like a big flaming cannonball or a tactical nuclear warhead. Can't do it. And if I get hit with enough of those, I become vulnerable. And I'm accepting that behavior. Even though you may not completely 100% mean to, if you're not following the due diligence and the instructions to fix this, then I have to see that as, okay, you are intentionally doing it to myself at that point. I don't always start with that, but if the activity continues, I must block.
So it really becomes something, I think, and let me state some of what Chris is saying, and which I completely 1,000% agree with, in a slightly different way to maybe alliterate it a little bit more. So when we've talked many times throughout the years to try to give a larger perspective to people's current, present moment belief systems, be it in the area of the faith, be it in, other types of areas as well, where people have been from birth, usually within families and cultures, indoctrinated into a certain belief system. Now, many people are reflecting upon that, on their belief systems, and what do I really believe? Our contribution throughout the years of things to consider has been things like, there is benevolence and malevolence flying through all of a lot of things. And a lot of things that began to be very good, right, may have been innervated by something malevolent that's trying to dominate and control. We've said that many a times. Mm-hmm. Even here recently in our speech, we talk about different things that are constantly innervated by it. In some people's belief system, especially when you get into a faith type based issue, then a lot of the conversation, the dogma, what's been taught to faith-related people, tends to focus more on a benevolence, but seems to not want to bring in the conversation as much as of the malevolence potential.
Because people are become afraid of it, and they think, oh, say it and he shall appear.
Well, they could conjure it, or somehow they don't have enough faith in the one they feel is benevolent to handle it. And that's part of it too. It's almost like, if I don't believe this, they'll take care of it. And I doubt that. And I feel I have to do something, then I'm betraying whom I've said is benevolent, my faith. I'm thinking they're somehow less than, which is not true either. What we've tried to say is, I'm not going to tell you what your faith should be. What I am going to say is, would you consider, please, for putting an even higher, exclamation point about what you want to deal with or whom you want to talk to, and ask for benevolence for your highest good with no conflicting agendas. We've said over many, many, many years that the umbrella term, we use it as an umbrella term of what does an angel mean, for example. And again, even in most biblical things, you'll hear about fallen angels and different things. And we say, well, in all honesty, from everything we can tell, there are degrees of beings that consider themselves one of those in those categories. And unfortunately, in that category, there is benevolence and things that aren't quite that are malevolent and mischievous and want to actually cause more harm. All in the umbrella term of an angelic type being, because you have to define what does angelic mean. And even in biblical scriptures, it talks about one who fell and, let's say, went against more benevolent teachings. All that is real. We acknowledge that it's real. So what we're actually trying to say is that for us dealing with anybody, having a baseline understanding that benevolence and malevolence exist everywhere, we often say, instead of you feeling like 100% who's who, why don't you hedge your bet when you want something good for you, that you demand benevolence for your highest good with no conflicting agenda. Then what should show up with your intention is something that truly is benevolent, not a trickster, not a demon. There are people as well that are in this conversation with demonics and evil type entities or tricksters that sometimes are like, well, you know what? We have the ability to convert them to good. And I am here to say, currently, at this current present moment in time, we don't know any humans that can change a personality, especially if those types of beings came from something that we refer more to as the dark creator. And if that's true, that is the essence of what they are. It's not a split. Part of them is good, part of them is bad. This is a boat only into the one area.
Yeah, and there was also one part I will add to this. There was a belief for thousands of years, actually, that one could take an entity into themselves and transmute it. Now, if you were at a vast enough frequency and at a faster moving frequency, should you still attempt this? Absolutely not. When you're in a slower moving frequency, you would have the propensity to get attacked more when you're in this density. Like if you came from another one and came here, you're going to get hit more, believe it or not. People think, oh, that's the opposite of what they've been taught. Exactly, because you were given the incorrect, out-of-date information. What I'm saying is I knew a person who thought that she could transmute demons. I saw one sitting in her core going, hee hee, like that. And I said, you realize you have a demon in your core. Do you want me to remove it? Oh, no, I'm sorry, dear, you're mistaken. I'm like, no, it's sitting in your core. I'm looking at it. Oh, no, you're mistaken. And I transmute those. I dissolve them. I'm like, then why is it fully intact in your core then? And I pulled this out and showed it to her. And I said, here it is, right there. Where'd you get that from? Your gut. And you put it inside of yourself and you thought you could transmute it. There's like maybe 2 people on this planet that I have ever seen. And even those are questionable, that could possibly do that. And even having this conversation now, I know somebody's fairly pissed off,
Right.
but this is something that needs to be said. If you are doing this, stop. You are giving consent to these life forms. Also, if you think you can save them through the power of Jesus Christ or whatever it is, stop doing that. It's not working because that religion was on the side of them.
Well, and you've just got to understand what we're trying to say is that, these are tricksters. They're good at what they do. We tip our hat to it, and again, people want to believe that, benevolence is always greater than. Believe it or not, the experience we're having here, there is a lot of both going on. And so you've got to understand these things. So what, again, we say is, I'm not going to sit here and challenge your faith, but if you want to get along with us, you have to understand that this is our experience. This is our understanding. We want you to raise the bar on your expectations and state out loud that you want benevolence for your highest good with no conflicting agenda, to tease out any of those. And you can ask for, again, any sort of beings to even help you with this process. The problem will then become, as Chris was saying, let's say that a person who chooses not to believe this and chooses not to take the advice that we're giving on how to make it even cleaner for yourself, let's say, then what will tend to happen, I hate to say it, especially if you've been told, especially if we have taken the time to try and tell you this, and again, not asking you to change your belief system, asking you to shore it up in the benevolent side. And if you think we don't know what we're talking about, if you're like, you've got it handled, if all of that, and we have taken the time to try and help you understand this, especially then, what will tend to happen is that, as Chris was saying, when you think of somebody, when you are doing things like that, a threat is created to them. And if demonics wants to then use you, they are going to surf along those threads. And you are going to be starting to dump in demonic beings and others who want to hassle the other person on the other side. Now, again, this does not mean you know about it. This is like Trojan horse kind of things going on, but it absolutely happens. And if things like this are brought to your attention and you actively choose not to ignore it, then I hate to say it, but it gives darkness a aha, willing participant. We are going to start surfing the channels with this person, and we're going to start dumping ourselves in. Now, God forbid you also have a strong psionics capabilities, then a lot can dump in with you. But the point of that is there anything bad that we are saying when we say, please ask for benevolence for your highest good with no conflicting agenda? Again, I'm not bringing up any specific religious belief system. What is wrong with the words that I've just said? People are looking for a trick, right? I'm now the trickster. We're the trickster. It's not the other one. It must be them when there is no trick going on.
Because we say something different, some people are
Well,
trusting
again,
the old.
the words are the words, okay? The words benevolent, something good for me and my highest good, not a trickster, not whatever. The words are the words. There's no tricks. Benevolence means benevolence. But what I want to say is that it's important that you understand that if you are told this, and you could start to experience things yourself that you don't understand. For example, people could choose now to stop communicating with you. You could be trying to reach out and do different things with different people, and they're stopping doing business with you. If you're in an energy type of field, it's because what is going on and they're feeling like they have to cut communication with you. It could start to cause family problems, friends problems, because again, you need to take what we're trying to tell you seriously and shore it up. The bad news that tends to happen, and I think it's sad, but I have zero, and I mean zero problems doing it, is that if you want to have communication with us and we have told you this circumstance and you choose that we don't know what we're talking about and you choose that you are going to try to continue conversation, we will end this relationship because we have now become too far apart in belief systems, energetics, and all that now is happening is that the bad juju is being constantly sent our way. I'm not saying just us. I'm using us as an example. this is the type of things that will happen. And now that the community is growing, people are becoming more aware of energies and their sensitivities and their capabilities. Okay, this is now what we're talking about in relation to the communication guidelines that people must understand. Things can travel with your communications. You must make sure that you try to shore that
Email
up.
and texts as well.
And everything. And you must understand these principles, because if that's not your intention, we're trying to inform you of a way to ensure that you're not being used, that you're not having these things happen to you. Everybody needs grace to learn and grow, and there is personal responsibility for learning skills to become better at what you're doing. No one's perfect, and it is a process. But believe me, if we have to end communications with somebody, it's not been a one-off.
Mhm.
This has been an attempt to try and communicate things that need to be said. There is a refusal to bring any of it in, then we must end it, and we will. So I am saying to anybody out there who is also experiencing this in an energetic way, and most people that have already done it are probably already doing what I just said, that we will end up forcing to do, because you have to, because it makes, us trying to spread this information, unfortunately, makes us a bit of a target because they don't want the information out. And this is a way, if they cannot get to us directly, they will indirectly use other people to throw and barb and do all of these things through. So, but we are not the only persons experiencing it. If you are, and you are starting to ring a bell that this is happening to you through other people, then you need to have conversation about how to keep things clean. And if people genuinely care about you, like we genuinely care about people, that's why we have these conversations. If people genuinely care about you, they would be willing to do it, even if they think that it's silly, in order to keep the communication. But if not, then you're too far apart in your frequencies, too far apart. It is now becoming unhealthy for you to keep receiving such things, and you need to end the communications. I'm not saying that down the road more like-mindedness comes along and communications can't happen. But if that basic communication hygiene isn't starting to be practiced, I will predict to you that throughout the community as a large, more of this will begin to happen, because there is personal responsibility on having clean, respectful, energetic conversations. And people have to understand this other side exists, and how do they make sure that their truest of intention for benevolence, for their highest good, and everyone else's with no conflicting agenda is honored. You must state it clearly, and you must mean it. So we wanted to kind of, as this unity in the community is trying to grow, we must have some understandings with basics of communication hygiene. A lot of people out there that we're meeting now, it's a beautiful thing, but they are gifted without an owner's manual. And so people are gifted and have never had these conversations before, and they need to occur. And this is then how we will be able to exponentially grow as a community, or the brakes will be put on, because there will be plenty of things trying to stop it, and this is one of the ways.
Yes, and this is also another reason why, and I said this briefly in a Q&A, but this fits more this episode than one of the standard Q&As. I just lightly touched on it before. This is why we tend not to take gifts from people anymore. Like we told you in the past about all the cursed masks and pictures, paintings, all this other such. And this is why we don't do that anymore. Even if the other person may have been well intentioned in their mind, here they didn't know what they were connected to. And this goes for altars too. If you've created something, you might have a contrary somewhere that is undoing that. And I ran into that in myself and had to clear that. That's especially true with SSPers and people that didn't know they were SSP. They're like, we had the cursed masks. I've had to burn a couple of those. I had to ship one to a haunted museum. We also had people uh, send us haunted objects at one point to be able to get rid of them. I never really originally authorized that. People just did it out of the blue. And I still forbid that even to this day. And if people want an address from me in the future to send it to, to a museum or something, go for it, or just throw it out or destroy it. One of those other options. But the reason I bring that up is because people were not, this one individual was not paying attention to their environment, didn't hear me in the session when I said, do not send this. So she wanted to send a haunted mask to me. And I said, no, I forbid that. I'll give you the address of where to send it, or just throw it away, and revoke and renounce ownership of it when you're doing it. And this person was staring into space. And I said, no. I said, did you hear me? Oh, yeah, you said send it to you. I'm like, no, I said none of those things. And over and over again, this practice took place. And I got fairly angry with this person. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, here comes this haunted mask in the mail. And again, this is why I don't give the address out anymore either. So not even a P.O. box. So with that, there's very few people that even know this. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because it falls under the same pretty much subheading or one of the bullet points. Because if you're not listening to the instructions and you're listening to some other voice telling you to do it, and that's the strongest voice, you're doing something wrong. And one more thing I will mention, because this has popped up on multiple comments on the YouTube within the past few weeks, because of the fact, and this falls under this category. There was this very upset person that said that I hurt her by getting rid of a painting and then saying that it was cursed. The rest of the conversation wasn't registering, and I will clarify because it has to do with this subject matter. This had to do with an SSP altar that was in, if you're hearing this, was in the back of your energy in your head, that then was applying certain things to the paintings. Unintentional. When I notified someone else of a similar thing, this woman, their higher self and avatar connected in that way, acknowledged it, and the energy shifted, and that person's altar went away. This, it just dissolved, and the poltergeist energy dissolved. This person was then going, oh yeah, I'm hurting you. Oh yeah, I'm hurting you. I wasn't accusing of that. What made me block in the end is because the activity would not stop. So I absolutely had that, and then I was accused of actually unduly harming this person. I have to say this was not the intention, but it was warned against prior to me doing it a couple of times, actually. And this is what I was referring to, was an altar that was doing it, not the intention of the conscious individual. This had to do with SSP junk that was also attracting other things that were also building the bridge that way. This is why that painting had to go. Not that that was the very first choice, but it was a choice because of the list of things, the plethora of things that were going on and activity that was going on because of that. And I know that was not the original intention, and you think that I've hurt you in this way. That is not true. I wanted to apply that to this individual that is more than likely going to hear this. But it applies to this particular topic. That is the only reason I added this. And like I said, briefly mentioned it in one of the Q&A episodes. It was just a tiny sliver, and I wanted to actually make sure that that was expounded upon in this. But this is actually quite an interesting topic, and it had to have been said for a while. And this is to my fellow readers. You absolutely must go through this rigor. And some people that are into the energy work already know this. what I'm about to say. Like I said, you have to take the time. And I even saw a post by a fellow reader recently, within the past like few hours at the time of this recording, said that she had to go off grid for a while and just be with nature. If that's what you have to do in order to make that cleanliness happen, that communication hygiene pristine, that is what you need to do. That is now the preference of the individual. There is a laundry list of tried and true ways to do it. But if you come up with your own combination, and that your urgent sense of urgency says you have to take in a lot of time to do it, not an over amount, not an obnoxiously long amount. I'm just saying, you can't go from like reads to doing reads. I'm tired of this, and you're backpacking through Europe. It don't work that way. I'm just saying a respectable amount of time within a couple month or few month bracket there. That's usually how that works. But also if you're making a living off of this, you have to find times within the in between to do that. Not easy, but if you become a public figure, like our public figures like ourselves, you have to find those in betweens. And I'm saying this because it's difficult, but I used to do it a completely different way. I used to do it the old, like some people would say, the old hippie way, where it was just like, okay, I'm just going to do nothing for this little bit. Can't do that. It's not an option anymore. But the option always must be there to do the cleanliness. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to say, well, I'm busy doing that, carve time in between. That's what you must do if you're doing this energy work or you're doing your clients a disservice. So that's what I wanted to bring up there. Did you add anything?
No, please chat with us.
Oh, this is actually quite interesting. Some of this was discovered in a session earlier today, and I know Bob wanted to briefly give a slight update during this. He's not the only one that's going to do that, but unless he wanted me just to pass this along. Him and Burgess had a really rough time recently. I actually had to pull Bob and Burgess out of a snare earlier today, literally an energetic snare that the Princes of the Universe set up for them. And because they were spotted at the conference too, and so I had to release them from that. The Bob is moving away from the Serrata grounds. He would not tell me where he was going. Burgess may not be around us for a whole lot longer. No offense to either one of us. It's just they were going to more of a dragon safe area. So they wanted that to be relayed to people to expand on the Bob Date 2 that we did before. Bob Date 3 at the moment is they're moving to safer ground. I don't know if he wanted to actually speak first on this subject, and the two others that would speak briefly. I got to make sure that I will have them say who they are when they talk, because I don't want to make promises as to if both of them are actually going to do this, because I don't see them at the moment. So, uh, okay, all right. Bob is Isaac. Is Bob here? Okay, I wanted to make sure of that. So this has to do with the communication hygiene thing specifically. Absolutely.
Can you guys clear this, or put a little bit more oomph into the benevolent side of this?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there's a pressure coming from that direction over there. So true benevolence with no conflicting agendas is of this moment in time. Bob, is that because of your presence? Are they doing that because you're around? Not specifically. Okay. So, Isaac, this is Bob, because I'm seeing other things trying to cut in here. So give me a moment. I'm going to just get rid of whatever the hell this is. That isn't him. Oops, that is actually quite big. Okay. Bob wants to briefly say something. Got it. Okay. All right. Benevolent Bob the Dragon. Uh, Isaac goes, "You thought I was going to make a Bob the Builder joke, didn't you?" No, but he's not a giant, so I can't do that. Okay. All right. And he has no opposable thumbs to hold a hammer. Okay. All right. True benevolent Bob the Dragon. You're in a hurry. Excuse the abruptness. This is something I will bring up. This is why I was urgent before with the other Bob date. It is because I'm moving on from the Serrata ground. I cannot divulge where I'm going. Just know I will be able to be in communication from time to time from where I am. I ask that you do not trace the location I'm going to, but I can go through crystals and communication arcs as well. So convergent. If you have the like certain like dragon edifices, things of that nature. The communication hygiene, the way this fits is, say if you're channeling a particular group, somebody was channeling Pleiadians, thinking that this was benevolent, and they said all the right things, did all the right things, but in the end, they were the princes of the universe. In the end, they don't like dragons very much. In the end, did they leave a snare for me on the beach side before they left? Yes, but they didn't. They left quite a while after the last conference goer did. So this was something that was unexpected by myself. I did not want to leave those grounds. I actually quite enjoyed it. But since the conference was in that area and heralded those that hailed from different planetary star systems, different dimensional places, it became a little too noisy. I enjoyed some of it, but seeing not only some of the skull inhabitants, but the princes of the universe, I kind of knew what needed to happen at that point. So, and Burgess is the same way, given no offense, those that come and go from your presence here. We are not saying that you're unclean. We are saying some of the ones that try to poke are unclean. The same goes with some of the channels that were there. They were unclean, not in a disrespectful sort of way. I'm not saying that. But one would think that dragons could hold their own against such foes. You would be incorrect. We learned our lesson a long time ago, not to involve ourselves in some of the larger fights because of the fact that we are too few because of this. When the last time our kind engaged in anything and tried to get in the middle of a dispute, this was in the middle of a dispute with two angry brothers. Our kind was nearly exterminated. So we are not playing peacemakers. We are not playing referees. We are going to our own realm space. And that is where we will communicate from. It is a safe space for all. And all those, and I announce this now, that in the future, find your way to the, how can I word this? The unending open skies. You guys will know what I mean and the location by which I mean. You will be able to fly once again unimpeded by other air traffic. You will go to a place that is only our kind, but we can communicate with those of Midgard. This is what we need to do. That our haven has been accessible to us once again. And therefore, this is where we must go. This is unfortunate, but it is also fortunate that that place still exists after the last Great War. This was a spot for us to come and go from, like when you take a vacation to the beach, you are getting away from energies that you've been around for years. Let's just say this is our beach. This is our vacation, but permanent. We're not pulling a Pete's Dragon where we're saying we'll never return. Oh no, Elliot, we will never return. No, no. I can honestly say at one time, yes, we will. But I'm extending that invitation to all wayward dragons that pass near the unending skies. You know what that code means. So, even to the one that was in the picture last year at the conference on Sean Bond's picture, even that guy is welcome, as crotchety as he is. So, do not allow yourself to be photographed if indeed you do not wish to be communicated with. Just say. That is basically like saying you want your privacy, then walk into a public place demanding privacy. What did you say? Not our issue at that point. But if you have questions for me,
My only actual question is, it sounded like what you just said was that your home, your beachfront, your place of sanctuary has been now brought back to you, meaning that it really wasn't an option for you before, but now
No.
it is.
no, it was not an option to get back to. It was too far away in not necessarily frequency. That's the wrong choice of words. It's like your Andromeda TV show where Dylan tried to get back to his home world but couldn't reach it via a bunch of like portals and such. And then eventually it was made available by one big leap. Yeah, his Tarnvedra home. This is exactly what happened to us, where one day it just was. That part of Midgard opened up a doorway again. We nickname it the unending skies, but it's a part of the introverse where we can pass into. Some people would see it almost like spirit world, but we would appear as if we would be deceased here. I can say this over these airwaves because of the fact that our enemies cannot touch us there. This is a place that we have struggled to reattain. This is a place not necessarily that we came from. This is a place we created out inside the introverse. And yes, you can create things out of the void dimension and everything, but this was there, but we more or less created, colonized to get away from after the disaster that befell our people. We went there and came and went. There are some that never went and never went there. Some that never left there. There are a lot of us there. If we were only counting Midgardian dragons, because we are few and far between, there are thousands of us there waiting for us. Smaller than normal, mind you, but there are. You would see them as small, not as large as myself or Burgess, but these are dragons nonetheless. Excuse a moment, there is some interference. This conversation was being listened to, so attempting to trace the place that we are wanting to be, or I should say that I am speaking from. Burgess, though he may look like he is on the property, still, he is not. He merely is reaching out from here. And he decided when he met me that we were just going to go there. It's like your elves in your Lord of the Rings, where they went to the Undying Lands, and they left the realm of men to go to the Undying Lands. This is the same premise. This is our unending skies or our undying lands. One would think, oh, we're crossing into spirit. It would feel like that from a human perspective because of the frequency. It would feel, your body would react as if you were dying. Other seers have said that same thing. If you encounter a certain frequency, the body reacts with a fight or flight. Well, if it does that to a human, imagine what it does to one of the princes of the universe. This is the kind of reaction we need to happen for the moment.
Well, I do understand I do understand completely, although I'm a little, I'm sad, of course, but in another sense, I'm really not sad. I'm very happy for you guys. And it's hard sometimes because I think Chris and I think, did we cause this? But we didn't cause this, but something better is coming, for you guys. And now that opening, be it you guys all put your intention together and created the opening, be it the source creator also helped create that opening. However it happened, I am glad for your safety that it is there.
Yes, it has been there for millennia now. It has been there for quite some time. If you went there, it would look like your earthly surroundings. It's just that there'd be mountains, seas, skies, oceans, grass, trees, forests, all of it. Whatever the dragon type happens to be, what they favored, that's what they wanted, because there's so many different types and colors and shapes and sizes. I would be more the quintessential medieval fantasy looking type. Burgess is more the raging Buddha fat ass type, but he looks like that one from your Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. You know, that fat one. That's what Burgess looks like. Small wings, big Buddha belly, and just sits there holding the space. And then they just wait for the food to come by and go. To me, I was doing the same, but that's not necessarily my gig. I want to fly. I want to hunt for my food. Burgess, he was content just to sit. I am not. But the only reason that type of dragon formed to begin with is because the need to just sit and not stir the energies is necessary. If he goes to the unending skies, he won't need to be chubby anymore. He could be more like the original form, like myself, to where the wings can stretch and fly. You see, he didn't always have the teeny wings. He didn't always have the big Buddha belly. So we can shape shift back to that form. Next time you see him, you may not recognize him. He may be more akin to myself looking. Then there are others that have made their way there. There's even spirits of dragons that have passed through there. Others also have tried to penetrate that barrier since it has become visible. They cannot. It is key locked to us. Granted, we're not the only ones that are welcome there. Others can pass through if they are, as you say, truly benevolent and no conflicting agendas, which means no wayward white knight in shining armor with a big sharp sword ready to decapitate one of us like your St. George. That guy was retarded. And I say this because he thought he had accomplished something when in fact he was merely putting a dragon's head on display. As I said before, it's like in Skyrim, the King Olaf story with the dragon in Dragon's Reach in the game series. It's the same story where he kept one as a pet kind of thing. No. That was human born and Orion born and a few others. But getting away from the sad aspects, eventually the dragon's graveyard will be fully excavated. It has been found by humans. As we've said, it's the elephant's graveyard in your historical texts. And also, while Musa wanted to pass along a message as well. This is where his people are going because elephants and mastodons are also types of dragons, as are cats. So others are going. Some dog types, yes, but you see those cat dragons, like your picture to the right over here. They are going there as well, except for the ones that wish to remain on Midgard and some of the other frequency variations and variants at their own risk. Not all of them are discovered, but they are going too. Some of your gargoyle types are as well, because they're part of the dragons family. So they are going there as well. The only ones really staying, of course, are your house cat types. Those are dragons, souls, and also some dogs as well, and various others that aren't really registering to the bad guys as being like us. But yes, they are going there in droves since that sanctuary is reopened. Like I said, humans will more or less put two and two together in Africa, the Drakensberg area of Africa. This was an area where both Enki and Enlil clashed over the skies above, causing the deaths of thousands and millions of dragons. It was originally a nesting birthing ground. It is now a graveyard of bone. It is a pit spiraled downward into the inner earth, into a garden, honeycomb of bones. This will eventually be found by regular people. It has been found by some academics that don't know what to make of it, but there are dragon skeletons there. We are leaving this behind for human academic digestion. And we do not wish it covered up. We wish the real history to be seen.
Well, thank you. Any last words before you leave this conversation today?
Yes, this has been a pleasure and an honor. Just know when you walk the Serrata grounds next time, I will not be present there. Know that if you, say, have a statue designated for myself, I can speak through it periodically. It makes it easier if it's like the others, the magnetic variety. It makes it much easier if you make one like that. That is a generalized dragon one. If I could do a product plug, this would help out greatly. Put one in the center and make it an arc. Then any of us benevolent dragons can speak through it. You will get us in droves speaking through it if you make something like this, like the forest people have. Not to self-ingratiate in your presence kind of thing, but you will get a few of us going hello from time to time, because we see you as kind and generous people, so we will speak again. You may even get spirits you recognize from time to time. Say you're Relento and Lentazar. Your Burgess, the reason he had to back off, him and Richie discovered earlier, Burgess, his eye had been injured, and it had to be repaired. Right, dragons can regenerate eyes if they get yanked out or cut limbs that get cut off. They can regenerate slowly. So all they did was start the regenerative process to fill the eye back in. This was from Princes of the Universe sticking a spear in his eye. And they like to do that. They think they're king of the castle, and they're not. We have to be very careful in battle with them, because as much as we would love to rip them apart, we cannot, because their DNA structure would be as such where their DNA encodes on those that they are victim to. The person gets splattered on, and they can transform into this. This also goes in your Elder Scrolls, where you had the godly Daedric character that was actually encoding onto a person, and then that person became just like him. This is what happens. They found a way to copy and paste their DNA. This is short-lived, though. This has a half-life. This doesn't last forever, but this can change the personality of whom gets imprinted on it, and that can be everlasting to a point. So this is what I wish to make. It's just, again, to any and all wayward dragons, just know the portal to the unending skies is now open. It's one of those, you may now board your flight. Or the Undying Lands in your Lord of the Rings, except the elves have already had their Tir na nog. We have our unending skies. So I will pass this over to the next person. I thank you. Since you weren't scheduling a Q&A yet, I figured I would talk here. If you hadn't guessed by my presence yet, in the human world, in this world, you knew me as Ozzy Osbourne. I came to him earlier today requesting this voice because of this topic. Others have channeled me of late, either ghost box and or psychic medium type people, and they've gotten the details correct. I make it damn sure that it's me. I make damn sure that people understand myself. He heard moments before you came home today, someone sent him a video of me talking to another psychic. And what I said to this person was, in life, what I showed the public was not all of me. It was the best of me. But what I dragged and told spoke far greater volumes. I even heard me say to the other medium that I even tried to sell my soul to the devil at one time. This was actually true, believe it or not, and it did not work. You want to know why? Because some oversouls, no matter what you do, no matter what how you are in life, no matter what, there cannot be a contract or bargain struck because that was not the path of the totality of the consciousness of the oversoul. You see, you can do that over and over again, and the reverse is true too, where you just can't shake it. And the cleanliness of the energetic hygiene, what you are talking about has directly to do with what I'm about to say. In my life, if the voice sounds strange, it is both of us talking. In my life, especially when I was young, I thought that I was a God incarnate. Some say I accomplished this in life, and I'm not going to completely object. But when you are at a stage where, how can I put this, where you feel your shit does not stink, it probably stinks the worst. I never believed in any of the Christian prospects, even though I was just accused of it recently in somebody else's YouTube video. This is where the lie was. I was not an active participating Christian because I saw things that I did not care about. I did not care about these things. I took that Prince of Darkness persona as the mask, as myself. I liked the metal persona because I came from a war period. One that the only way you can just express through metal music is to have lived through something like that and turn it into beauty. Translate this into beauty. And this is what I aspired to do. But I knew it was low vibrational, but it became more of a I became a virtuoso of this area, because of the fact that I had gone straight into the shadows. Some take their whole lives running towards the light and never stopping. And the dark always pulls them back. I went the other way. And the light, or what you perceive as such, pulled me towards it. I bowed to no contract, though I did say verbally in my earlier years that I attempted and failed to sell my soul to the devil. Some say that as a fault in the being of myself, and the fact that I was so much into drugs and all of these things, and apparently bit the head off a bat once. I thought it was plastic, by the way. No excuse, I'm just saying. That bat's actually with me over here, by the way. But I will say that as far as this hygiene goes, watch what you hold your allegiance to, and know that if something keeps occurring good or bad, or all in between and different, but usually in absolutes more to the outer edge. This is part of the path by which you are there to walk. As much as I tried to be the Prince of Darkness, I was not. It was my path that in each consecutive lifetime that I and Sharon were learning about these aspects together. We were not the nicest people to one another, as the other recording said. It was love hate. That's how we were in other lifetimes. That's how our oversouls are to each other. My children, they sometimes were with me, sometimes not. But her and I were absolute in that area, just like the two of you. And even in some of your past lives, you were love hate, but in an appropriately balanced sort of amount, sort of kind of. In mine, it was the same way. But I got fed up. The oversoul got fed up, came in here and went, holy shit. How about I just call myself the Prince of Darkness and just call it good? Of things that I saw in the past so long ago, just like yourselves, Orion Codex and all that crap aside. I mean, just seeing it so long ago and knowing that that was what my family went through with the Second World War, seeing true evil. I saw this and saw, wait a minute, how did those evil fucks get so much? How did they gain such power? I was curious about this. I was horrified, but I was morbidly curious. How? People assumed the fact that I got so lucky so fast with music and everything that I had to have signed a contract to somebody. You're 50% correct. I didn't do any of that sick garbage that some of the other Hollywooders, all of them have done with children and Satan and all this other crap. No, 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 no. What happened is that when I attempted to do this, the oversoul, and I mean just like the genie getting the three wishes from me. I don't mean anything with kids or diddling around or anything like that. That was Michael Jackson's territory, and we'll rip on him for a second. But his oversoul wanted to experience that to undo that portion. I, on the other hand, saw that shadow from a long time ago, and not so long ago, in your most recent history, 80 plus years. Uh, my father saw that. I inherited a world at war, and I saw on that soul level a copy of this. And I basically went, okay, how about I be its prince? And the name stuck with the genre, but it's not as low vibrational as you'd think. It brings joy. It brings happiness. It brings calm, even in the screaming. It may seem low vibration, of course, because that was its origin point. Your church is full of crap, though. It's not summoning demons or anything like that. They are full of shit. But in all fairness, it started with a kind of a dark seed, but it has become something more than that, like your horror movie industry. And as long as people enjoy doing it, what has it become now? It became something greater than the sum of its parts. This is what my soul strived to do, create something greater than the sum of its parts. This is why my avatar here as Ozzy was not allowed to sell his soul to the devil and my soul to the devil. You're starting to hear the combinations of the Oversoul library. Not me speaking in third person. The creepy people do this, and I encountered more than a few. Few in hotel rooms, few wandering the streets. Creepy things like my son asked me on that show, "Did you find anything, see anything creepy in a hotel room?" Plenty of things. Trust me. You can use your imagination there. But I just know if any of my family is listening, I feel no pain any longer. The speech is not inhibited, brain is not inhibited, legs are not inhibited. There is no pain, there is no suffering. This is what I wish to say to them. You can ask me anything you want.
Well, I, I do believe you because I've believed it over and over again that things can change with intention and with joy and with different things. Just like, people may have their feelings about Christmas, but for a lot of people, it brings together joy and caring and loving. Maybe the opposite of what an original domination and control wanted, and it can change and more. So,
Halloween was the same. And
yes.
so, yes.
Yeah, so I definitely believe that. I can't help though but bring up obviously the unfortunate events of a music mogul who's been on trial, let's say, and the fact that
Now, you want to
it,
talk about a Prince of Darkness.
right, but what I wanted to bring it up is related to the music, because I know that there was conversation about taking some of the music in some of the different ways and trying to make it evil. Like you said, the Prince of Darkness really, who wasn't you, but he really exists. But again, is that a valid concern, again, about saying things in certain musics that are there to influence in a domination control type of way?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it's there. But see, the opposing vibrations fight back. You have your music program, of which you know about, and it can go through the voice of the person sending out propagandic waves. But I knew my own energy. I knew what I was doing coming through, even if the earthly me did not. I knew I was here to correct some of those vibrations and waves and set harmony straight. Just like some of your Toroth came through to you and said that they were here to hold the harmonic space a long time ago. This is essentially what I was doing. I was excused. There is some interference. Give me a moment. Excuse. As I'm speaking, they do not like this being said, because this is one of their cornerstones. No matter what the music genre is, your bad guys have 1 foot in each door. That means that we, as genuine, balanced people, good people, must have 10, 12 to 20 feet in that door. And that is what is going on. I could come up with a song brought out from the darkest pits of hell. And I could bring life and fire, true benevolent fire, to that. I could take that pain and translate it from those times and show people what that looked like. And that's what I came in to do. Music was my life. The Ethereum, as I said before. This life, this path. I walked it well. This, even though at the end, he had me sitting in a chair, ironically a throne, and some of the bad guys, as you know, use thrones to drain people. No, 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 no. My purpose was sitting there. People tried to translate, oh, what satanic meaning did he mean? What part of Hollywood did he bump shoulders with? What part of the industry did he? And I want to tell you, I bumped shoulders with all of them. It does not mean I was of them.
Right.
I wish to say this. I met them all. The worst humanity has come regurgitated into this realm, and some of the best. Does not, just because I walked through that fire does not mean I was consumed by it. This is a very important distinction. People are lumping, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and just know there are those in that industry that sit back and watch all these things being said. and wonder why they are being lumped into them. Some are very depressed and sad over this. Some are whatever, excuse. Some are distraught over this. And I was not necessarily distraught, but I was not upset either. Because I read what people would call conspiracy theory. And I wasn't really into it. As you saw with my son Jack, in trying that show out.
Mm-hmm.
I was not into it. I was more like, okay, I love my son. I'm going to try this. This is his passion. I wish to join in this. There were some things I enjoyed. I poked fun at him, the whole ball lightning thing, that whole thing. If he's hearing this, you know what I mean, Jack. And Sharon and the rest of you. This was a time where even though I could not do a whole lot, I enjoyed those visits. I did not enjoy, however, seeing all the hard work that I put into place crumble. I was very angry at the fact that I had virtually nothing to show, and I thought it was nothing to show for my music. That is not why I came in. There were thieves galore around. The monetary side was not why I came in. You would be surprised how much money I did not have being here. People expected, oh, the Prince of Darkness, why doesn't he have a castle? The Prince of Darkness could not afford a castle. Just saying. Not even Dracula's castle, which was the cheapest one on the market, by the way. I didn't want that one, by the way. But even though people thought it would be very fitting, I didn't want to live in Transylvania or Romania. But in any way, England is where I called home anyway. There's plenty of castles around to go around there. But the point is, if you have a skewed view of someone, an expectation, that person will always disappoint you. Or if you have an expectation that person is godly, that will also disappoint you. Because unfortunately, there were some fans I were not too kind to because they approached me on the street during times where I was having rough moments, and they thought that I was going to be their beloved Prince of Darkness, when in fact that was a persona. They caught me at bad moments in time. So if they hear this, that I'm very apologetic over that. Because I loved my fans and my followers. I truly meant what I said in the last concert from the bottom of my heart. After, Mama, I'm coming home. Yes. Did my oversoul mean this? Yes, I did. I knew I was going home. I knew it. I knew this for an absolute fact. And I wanted everybody else there to know that I was leaving that forum. And they knew it too. That is what I wanted to leave with them. That is what I wished to leave with all of them. But I had moments in my life where I was not my optimum self. And after I found out I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I was distraught. That was around the time of my reality show. So the Osborne reality show. Well, it was around that time I found this out, and I was not happy. So people encountered me on the streets. Oh, it's Ozzy, it's a Prince of Darkness. Fuck you. I was like that. Because they did not walk in my real shoes. And I also did not walk in theirs. This is where I'm at.
Well, I am curious with one question, with one perspective, because obviously now you're at a place where you can really talk about and really bring out what you felt your own mission was and everything like that, and truly what you were trying to do with the music, even though to some it would appear to be, ugly, mean, whatever they want to call it. My question is, when you were in human form amongst your friends and your family, did you somehow still know, were you ever able to talk about what your true intentions of your music were, or are you only seeing it now from where you stand?
From where I stand, no. I knew somewhat I just knew it was a passion. I knew there was something to that. But again, when it came to some of the mystical, like what my son Jack tried to bring, I was more skeptical. I came in that way on purpose because of the fact that some people call it a contract being fulfilled. Oh, even getting the Parkinson's and all that was a contract. I cannot dispute that, even though he does not equate the words as like a business deal. Was that part of the mission parameters? Yes, I can honestly say this. But being here, did I know I was making a difference? Always no. Uh, I was actually quite distraught that I did not have more than what I did. But there are times like Sharon and I would argue all of that. This is where I am at with this, because in life, how can I describe it? If you think you're not doing something, you are. You're walking the lane or path that you came in to do. You're walking that already. Yes, there are variances and variations in that as you go through timelines. But the oversoul's intent is always the same. Yes, can there be some infectious stuff from other dark expressions? Absolutely. There are some that has happened to, and I've seen it. Again, Prince of Darkness name. That's why I chose it. But I just know that there's some variation that can be changed, that you can change in the mission parameters. But just know that this is what's going on. If you get sick with something, you have to walk through that fire. You don't have to wear it as a badge of honor like some people do, but you have to kind of eat it and walk through it. Because you do not know how much of that was that predestined path that you came in with. People scoff at destiny. Destiny's a real thing. For whatever time variation you're in, he would say in the multiverse, and infinite diversity and infinite combinations. But is it within your own expression? You know, like your Michelle Yeoh character, where she still experienced her woes at the end of even resetting the multiverse. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And his brain holds a lot of useless information, I must add. His brain is a file cabinet of just like different variations on the same word. And he doesn't even know how much is in this vault. He pulls out maybe this much.
Now you know why I yell at him for wordsmithing me to death sometimes.
He has the same variations. He would make actually, he does do poetry and writing and everything, but he would make a good Webster's dictionary writer. I'm in his subconscious now, and there's 100 different variations on the word there, or why, or how. And apparently the Oversoul was good at wordsmithing and spell writing and wizardry, because this looks like an alchemist's chamber in here. But there's file cabinet and vault file cabinet of just nothing but word variations and subplot variations and show variations and things of this nature. And this is just his human subconscious. It's no wonder he gets anything done. But this is what I pull out of this. I'm just telling you what this looks like is a gigantic vault of like shit. When I wrote songs, I pulled from, of course, the heart and the soul, the ether, the Ethereum. Yes, he does this too, but he holds on all to this in a big archive. And the human mind was not meant to hold this much. But at any rate, this is part of his path. This is quite odd from my perspective as from here, but I rag his oversoul because he hears me as well. And the two of us are chatting there. I give him shit. We actually know one another. Oh, I happen to know you guys on this level, and others that he has spoken to, your Bjorn and your Susan, for instance. I happen to recognize them. But I digress in this. I have not ever seen a odd spiral corridor of file cabinets before like this. But yeah. Any questions for me further?
Well, in regards to the topic at hand, basically the communication hygiene, any specific words of wisdom that you wish to pass on?
Uh-huh. This is why I brought up his file cabinet, you see. Because I would do the same in writing and stuff like that. What you become then passes on to the next in that communication hygiene. It is not necessary to know all the inferences of the letter T or F or a G or the inferences of a single etymology of a single syllable. Yes, the oversoul knows these things. Yes, can you connect to, are you connecting to all things? You are this already. It is not necessary in this subconscious mind. And I'm well aware of your 20 and backs of this of late. I've seen this. Aside from the memory bubble, suppression bubble, of which is extensive. It is not necessary to record all things. It is not necessary to be all things and know all word variations and plots and subplots and what goes bump in the night. The Prince of Darkness already has done it. But is it necessary for part of your path? Because I kid, yes. But the point is the communication hygiene, you must get that in order to enunciate things properly. It is not necessarily the vocals to enunciate every subsection. That means you are a walking dictionary, and that is boring. I am saying this out of kindness. I see this, and Michael Jackson wished to relay this, and also my other guest, Hulk Hogan, wishes to say these things. Having this entire library in the mind will implode the mind. Because the mind was only able and designed to hold only things that were in the moment, and also have a photographic memory. People have this, yes. But the weight of 1,000 lifetimes, the weight of 1,000 solar systems, 1,000 suns. No human was ever meant to look upon this and retain it completely until much later in history. Yes, you are leaving your mark now, doing this and opening this door. But as you leave that footprint, just know you're moving one foot in front of the other. And that communication hygiene counts as you are walking one foot in front of the other. It is not a sobriety test, of which I have been a part of many. The cops were quite pleased, I might add, early in life. I was in my 20s, but yes, earlier in life, teens, quite amused, actually. But later on, you don't want to be a drunkard going in and enunciating everything. Your mouth actually loves it when you get into a word conundrum like that, because it's caused some of it. It is not all that powerful, by the way. It is actually just more of a puppet, but it's more like a parrot, some weird, creepy AI parrot. And also your voice to skulls. Other people add to that file cabinet from time to time for it, but it's more annoying than anything else. To some it's torturous. But I'm just saying I heard some of it myself in later years. I'm just saying. Hygiene affects the footsteps. Deal with your shit. Deal with it well. Deal with it efficiently, but deal with it how you need to. Not with how you expect to. How you need to. That way, your communication hygiene is pristine, and you are not having bad breath as you talk to others. You see, it's the same as oral hygiene. Can you eat with bad teeth? No, I had plenty from the drug use. But some say the Parkinson's were from the drug use. Yes, but again, the path I walk. This is how I know, is because one foot in front of the other must be firm. I realize, and I'm saying this again, that his oversoul is relaying as well, that this is part of the purpose, to be able to recognize all these patterns. But recognizing patterns everywhere makes it impossible to be at peace. This must be translated into something meaningful. This must be translated into not just facts and figures, but to something else as well, something larger than life. And it is through energy. But to hold on to every moment in the subconscious, that negates the one foot in front of the other. This negates just walking normal, and then you begin to moonwalk. And yes, Michael, I am actually poking at you. Yeah. No, well, pun intended, by the way. I met him, he met me on the other side as well. But I have to pass this on to my new dear friend, Terry, over here.
Well, I hope your words have impacted his oversoul in a positive way.
Impacted is too strong of a word, grazed the nuts thereof. But the coin to take a page from Isaac's book, of which I indulged quite often, not being a clown, mind you, but in some of the other ideas he has over there. But a little too much, I might say, if you ever followed any of my human life. But anyway, Terry Bollea, that is Hulk Hogan. So I will pass over to him. He wishes to say a few words that apply to this topic. So I do thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, this, excuse, I have not done this kind of communications. You saw me later in life. I had my own demon and my own strengths. Then I buttressed this with, of course, Christianity and the baptism that you saw a couple of years ago. I was trying to set straight things that I had done wrong in life, a lot of many things. Excuse, there's some interference. Part of this is emotional as well. But he and his friend Christine were able to unhinge me from my curse and able to pass me on the rest of the way. In life, I used religion as a buffer or a buttress or a guiding light away from certain behavior. Not the wrestling kind. I enjoyed that. The whole Hulkamania, the persona. But that became me because that was a mask, a persona I created earlier in life. In the 80s, a wonderful time frame. Wonderful time frame for myself and my friends. Some of my friends out here are smiling right now, who may or may not pay you a visit later, like Andre, for instance, Giant, you call it. Wonderful man, and several others. We had to help Chris Benoit out from what happened to him and what he went through as well. I greeted several others as they were going through a darker vein. And I thought as I crossed over, that's one of the things I was doing here. And that is true. Trying to find some of the wayward souls. Not a soul saving, as a Christian would say, but you get the idea. More of a, not a boatsman like the Sharon Ferryman crap. I'm talking the trying to find wayward shards, let's just put it that way. In life, though, there were times that I needed that guiding light, and I thought it was Christianity that would get me there. I did not realize that there was binding contracts. I knew none of these things. I thought Jesus Christ was going to help me. I was actually incorrect because, of course, there were last rites given all this, and he recognized this and helped out. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Oh, because there would always been a fragment of me in a loop, and I did not wish this. Sometimes the oversoul can't always grab some of the fragments. This is why there's other aspects that need to assist. And also on Earth, or you say Midgard, this is why there are intermediaries to assist in this, or those outside of ET contracts, you would say all this. I never was into some of that in life. I was more into the persona that I created, Hulkamania, all those things, Real American, all those type of things. In that communication hygiene, I did not get rid of the things that were from my own past and my father's. You call it the viruses in the DNA, you call it the ancestral curses. This is why you heard me use the N-bomb on more than one occasion, and F-bomb too, and I got in trouble for this, as you probably recognize. I regret it. But do I regret pissing off some little, you call them tit babies? Not really, no. Booker T, you know what I'm saying, if you hear this at all. The communication hygiene in this instance is not getting rid of curse words or even naughty words, like your N word, for instance. Eventually that's going to come to pass, but nobody's offended by that. Was I here knowingly applying that in that way? No. Did I mean it in the worst context? No, I did not. Others in my ancestry probably would have. I'm not here to basically say that there's white privilege and all this nonsense, because I don't believe that. I never did, and it is not true. And there's another race that needs reparations, all that stuff? No, 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 no. That's not why I'm here tonight. To clear things from your path, even in intention, even though I locked to some contracts, I knew not what. My intention was to walk a different path, to change the as you say, the sins of the father, getting rid of all the lineage curses, getting rid of all the unnecessary behaviors. I thought some of the woes in my life that maybe I displeased God somehow. And I was wanting, I figured going in the good graces of Jesus Christ would fix this. I was incorrect, but my intention was still to fix things of what I thought I did wrong. And I felt guilty of this. Not because of some other tit babies. I'm talking about my own path. And I was not always a good person. Like I said, even though I had very wonderful times in the 80s, there was drug use, steroid use, all of this type of stuff. Excuse me, it's emotional for myself, but I wish to actually say in this that if you are going through things like this, check yourself always. Check your mind, check your heart, check your space. Why are certain things going on? Why are you a certain way? You must check your space. If you are not in joy in what you are doing, you must figure out why, whether it's medically related or whether it is physically related or whether it's spiritually related and soul related. Is your soul crying out for something? If your soul is crying out for something and you attempt, of course, the telepathic work, if you are connecting to another, they think you are screaming at them. There are insiders that he says actually said these things, where if you say hello, it sounds like you're screaming hello at them. Think of that aside from annoyed ETs. that probably should recognize if it's not for them or not. And he's mistaken that from Isaac, where Isaac was mad about something and thought it was about him. It's the telepathy, nature of the telepathy and frequency. That's the communication hygiene. With anything you are not fixing, or if your soul is crying out for something, crying out for balance, this is heard in eternity. This is heard in many places, many corners of creation. This is what I know currently based on my current form. And I will say, a life unfulfilled. They say no, it's no life at all, but a life unfulfilled is heard in eternity. And the friction is heard. This is why I cried out for spiritual guidance. This was the original reason for it. And I thought it worked. I recognize now that I was slightly in error, but the original intent was still pure. Do you have questions for me?
Well, I think it's something, what you're bringing up right now is very important because again, I'm not a person who's for, again, with any faith system to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I do believe, again, as time goes on, there will be a natural progression of wanting to know what if this was more dogma or control related? What if this is really based on something? And the spiritualness, even if it's related to a religion, it's not going anywhere.
No. It'll be around for centuries to come.
And there will not be only one on this earth. You need to get that out
Even
of your mind too.
Even some of your ET brothers and sisters have some of their own faiths they're bringing in.
Right. And so the point is, just like you were saying, what was your intention? Your intention wasn't to buddy up with and be a part of or a player with or to be used by a darkness. It's just kind of simple. That wasn't. You were trying to better yourself and trying to find a connection that you didn't have. And so to me, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. What we said at the very beginning, you seem to be bringing that up to come around again, is the simple fact that hedge your bet by also demanding benevolence for your highest good with no conflicting agenda. There's no trick in the words. It's to just say, I'm going to dot the I, cross the T, and make sure everyone out there really knows what I'm wanting, because the depths of some of the things that you're speaking about, the little contractual little nuggets here or there, people may never know about it, but it can be overcome with the true spiritual intention of good.
Yes. People always like to say warrior of light or sword of light, or they like to say knowledge of God, or like any of these things. Yes, God has so many different meanings because there were so many negative ones, and there's dark creator and all these other things. It's in the wording, like last rites. There's no such thing as last. It's eternity. Yes, it's wonderful you know all these things. That you know the spellcraft and the wordcraft. It is wonderful that this has been grounded to the earth. This is badly needed right now in the academic, but in the intention and the vibration, it starts with the intention. It starts with wanting to better yourself and bring balance into life. You say chaos to order, but it is actually more balance. Balance could also mean somebody going, yay, and having fun with something. It may look chaotic, but it doesn't mean that it's not orderly, and it does not mean that it is not right and just and good. It is when you become balanced, you will see the real person that has been hiding behind all of that.
Right. Did you know, and you may have answered this with somebody else, but since you and I have not spoken, I haven't heard anything else. Did you know you had a cancerous disease process going on in your body, or was that kind of an autopsy surprise?
That was a surprise to most people. Did I know I had something that little bits? Yeah, to a point, yes. But the leukemia, did I know about the leukemia? Yes and no. Well, I knew something was wrong. I didn't tell too many people. I didn't tell really hardly anybody. I looked fine. Then one day I was not. but it was my time to leave this world, regardless. Did I leave it what would people perceive as early because of the mistakes of the past, drugs and all that stuff? Ozzy would know this probably better than anybody. We met each other on the other side. There's even pictures of AI pictures of us shaking hands, meeting in heaven, kind of thing. That happened actually. He went like a few days before me, and we did meet. And I never thought that would be the case. We met as we were moving on, and I thought that was quite interesting. But did I know about certain things? No, I did not.
I do find it's really interesting to me, but it may be again a time perception issue
Hmm.
that it, Chris spoke to me about some interactions with you that he had had, outside of my presence and everything. But I thought it was really interesting that you seemed quickly focused on helping others that were in your field.
Yes.
That was extremely rapid from our perspective of seeing someone heal and then want to just help like you were doing.
Because my oversoul was already doing this. The totality of my spirit, or the spirit world itself, was already doing this. From a human perspective, it looked like I gravitated towards that. You merely saw what you would see as somebody walking through a door into the next, but that self is already in spirit, and then the avatar is here. But it would look from a human perspective like you were going through one room to the next. It's not. You're literally there, always omnipresent, you would say. So transitioning is a human concept. Yes, going from one to the next, it would appear from that human self, but then all of a sudden you're back and you have those memories intact. You may even change your name here, like you said, Frank Frazetta did. But I noticed, and Michael Jackson noticed this as well, that he thought that we were all coming to him, even with the queries posted to us, that we were coming anyway and not regarding his time of recovery. And this is not so. And he knows this now. This is not so. It is because we were there to assist. We're there doing what we felt to help rebalance, to avoid a mental collapse, because of the important work that is being done on the earth. I saw this. This is why I came and did the whole kind of Hulkamania thing for him when he helped myself, because his oversoul's wanting to do all this work, and I had the lifting logo on the other side of the torn shirt.
Right.
I did this to get to. This was more of a subliminal, subconscious thing that not only sometimes the work overload him a little bit, but it is more, has to be a strength, it has to be a focus for the hygiene purposes, the communication hygiene purposes. For this purpose, you must have balance. And Michael brought this to my attention. He was not necessarily a warrior. He was, to an extent. He came in to do what he did.
Mhm.
And that's the path the soul walked, with the altar, him walking beside himself. Very difficult path. And spirit kind of not necessarily shunned him, but kept him out of certain layers until he got that dealt with. And which he did, and your Ragnar helped him through via the playful ridicule. And those two oversouls knew each other a long time as well. And we know all of them as well, and I do as well. But we saw there was distress. And for you guys helping us out in this respect, the oversoul was basically saying, look, in this area, saying that there's some imbalance. Please assist here. And this is what I've done. This is why I've also come through to other channelers. They will hear some of the human stuff, and they will hear some of the rest as well, even with their equipment. Some will use your ghost voice boxes and all these things. And I would be careful with that, but it actually does accomplish the goal. Some things are frauds, some things are not. But I even made a joke to his his friend Christine. Just know Hulkamania is coming for them, meaning the bad guys, meaning anything that is inhibiting balance. I'm not saying I'm a sort of light type. I'm just saying that there's rebalancing. Yes, warrior, of course. But some people would perceive it as justice. And justice and justice deserve kind of thing, just desserts kind of thing. And I suppose, but it was more because assistance was requested. Now that I have all of my marbles back in order, so to speak. There's a pun in there somewhere, or bolts tighten, you would say. The Frankenstein bolts tighten kind of thing. There were jokes that we would pass back and forth that we would all say, especially with Andre, being the big giant, the Frankenstein, type thing. We had some jokes that we threw back and forth. Some of which I can never utter on your show. They're racially charged, as you probably may have guessed. But private things are fine. It was quickly noticed that anything nowadays you might want to steer clear of that, just as you remember my immediate history. But in any case, Spirit is wanting to relay this also to your audience, that balance absolutely must be absolute. You must find this place if you're to continue any sort of this kind of work. You must find this, and yes, also he would argue that also getting further ahead would bring about this balance, and then he always would say in retort, some way energy work would say, but you must find this to get this. Both are true. Yes, you are guided to a thing to bring about balance. You are guided to resources to bring about balance. But you also must balance to gain resources. It's both, if you understand.
Yes, I do understand. You have to really start just bam on the dime. You're going to now walk the path. So you become
it. It becomes you. Like the Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania persona. That was me through and through. It's like Batman being the real person and Bruce Wayne being the mask. It's no different.
Well, that's great. So I know we need to come to a close. We've been talking a long time, but any final words for this particular conversation related to something you just want to pass along or related to the topic of the communication hygiene?
Yes, any aspect of life that you're in, you must be clear in who you are. Therefore, the communication hygiene is absolute. Others might not understand, but that's their own issue. You must be yourself always, not what others expect you to be. And if something of your past is no longer kosher is the wrong choice of words, not applicable, not making a Jew joke there. I was actually making a balance comment. It is not, if it's not in balance, it will not relay correctly. You will not be understood, even though there are bad guys that try to twist words and everything. I would like to tell you those guys go away soon. No. People have to recognize this to get that to happen. And you guys are helping with this, and others are as well. There's others that you haven't met and probably won't. It's like in your Mission Impossible, for those you will never meet. This kind of work is mainly for those you will never meet. If I could say anything on this, and I will reiterate, anyone doing work such as this is mostly for those that you will never meet. So, if there is nothing else, I will detach now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that's interesting. He's very kind. Hulk Hogan. Terry Bollea was his actual name, but he's like, actual name now. Hulk Hogan was the name I go by. So if you're anybody's reaching out to him, yes, of course, for channel purposes, you have to put the birth name and all this other stuff. But just know that he will say to you thereafter, he goes by Hulk Hogan. And his mission is Hulkamania. Yes, I get it. And so, yes, for entertainment purposes, but also in energetic purposes only. Disclaimer there applies within, he says. So, okay, now we have a jokester. So, but let's see here. Yeah, that was actually quite interesting with Ozzy and with Bob. So, this was actually, I knew that from doing a session with Richie earlier today, that that these two were going to approach. So and be part of this show tonight. So, Joanna, I don't know if you have anything else to add to this.
No, hope everyone enjoyed it and got something from this today.
Yes. So at this point in time, I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye now. Hello, everybody. I actually forgot to add that last affirmation and blessing. While this thing is exporting over here, I got to use my phone. So I open the circle within true benevolence, no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. Okay. This one was by Ozzy. So, there is no real end. Darkness, light, all the same in the end. All the same place, all in due time. We must meet ourselves as we begin to know. So this is from Ozzy Osbourne. So I wanted to make sure that got in there. So I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas is at this moment in time. So thank you again, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, one thing we learned from them after the show was over is like something Einstein said, there's only two constants, the universe and stupidity, which they said neither is true. Multiverse and also labeling people with stupid. It's not a constant. It's the only constant is change. So that in and of itself saying stupidity and the universe are constants is wrong. They said Einstein was hearing this as they were talking to, that he might come in at some point and talk. I think that would be interesting. Debate with Albert Einstein. So if people want to see that, let us know. I think it would be interesting. So I just wanted to add that little nugget of information that popped up a little bit ago in private. So it is 8:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, August 4th, 2025. Thank you. Okay. I know Ozzy mentioned in the show his son Jack, of course. The Osbournes want to believe that was a show that was on in, I believe, 2021 through 2023, I want to say. Let's see here. It is... there we go. It is... let's see. Yeah, it was on... Yeah, it's 2 seasons. Started in... It ended, let's see. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, it's 2 seasons. Started in 2020. And it started in September 20th, 2020. With 8 episode season, starting with one called Now You See It, Now You Don't, and ending in season 2. Let's see, ending in season 2 with ending on December 26th, 2021, season 2, episode 20. Today is the end. So, yeah, basically saying that was it. And they tried later, but they couldn't do it because of Ozzy's health. So, to do it, it's an excellent show where they just review videos. I thought about trying to do that. Aubrey and I were going to try that with Conspiracy Sector. People want to see that. Let us know. Something similar to the Osbournes want to believe. So, like a branch off or a spin-off of some kind. So, also, he has several other kids. It looks like Kelly Osbourne, sister, wasn't mentioned except briefly. Amy Osbourne, daughter. Jessica Starshine Osbourne. Didn't know about that. No picture available. Okay. Louis Osbourne and Elliot Kingsley.
by, a different mother. So, yeah, okay. So, looks like Ellie Kingsley is half black. I didn't know any of that. So, learned something new today, that he has 6 kids. So, I thought it was Jack, and I knew about Amy as well, so I thought it was Kelly, Jack, and Amy. But, nope, 3 others. None of the others were mentioned. It was just Jack by name, and meaning Kelly was implied, but none of the other 4. Okay. I just heard they were implied within all of it, that the names weren't mentioned, because also personally I didn't know about them, but family was implied in there. So, and Jack was the one mentioned by name because he did a lot of the most effort in things like the Osbournes, I believe, things like that, and the paranormal, all that. Not that it discounts the rest. That's what he's trying to tell me. So, okay, I'll leave it here. That's fine. That's interesting. So it is 9:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, August 4th, 2025. Thank you.
Okay, I do have to make an announcement that is attached to this show, this communication hygiene. And when you are communicating with me to get a session, please, for the love of benevolent source creator, do not describe the things that are going on. This opens a channel. And if you start naming beings and naming types of beings, there is a chance that that happens. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it has to do with the intent. A lot of times it's the intent. But in some cases, and there's power in the name too. Just get the session, and then we make the law of one safe space. I say law of one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. So therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I give thanks that this is done. So be it, and so it is. Then, I say I open this circle with true benevolence and no conflicting agendas. Then we take care of it. Then I say I now close this circle with true benevolence and no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. We are to cross time space where appropriate is for every so moments, all sessions, and expressions. Going that route, I have to do it that way. I cannot stress this enough. Don't send a bunch of stuff ahead of time. Don't send a manifesto with all this stuff in it. That's notes, all this other stuff. I don't need it. But you will disrupt our environment if you send it ahead of time. And that you're basically, your focus is opening the session. Had somebody today send me an audio message basically saying, oh, this being I think is infecting the outward environment, etc., etc. And then where did I go? Where he sent the message. Me. Not placing blame. But I do have to stress, please, this opens portals. Just sign up for the session. Don't describe any of the stuff. Just know that it is, whether it's from a possession to something in the outward environment, to any type of oppression, aliens, I don't care what it is. Just say it in session. Just say you need the session, we'll look at it, and when it's in the safe, boxed-in environment, then we go into details. You send everything ahead of time and you start to connect. There's a lot more involved than just doing that hour session. There is a lot more legwork. And that legwork gets a little bit worse if people are doing that. Again, not laying blame, except the only time I would lay blame is if you have been warned about this and you're warned that you're conjuring negativity intentionally, and of course you're doing evil unto others, but then you've been warned a number of times and then you don't correct it. Because sometimes, like I said in the show, sometimes if the person is informed, the higher self or soul and the avatar will come to a consensus. It's like the helicopter pilot and the soldier on the ground having a consensus. The soldier goes through the apartment building, the helicopter pilot cannot see all things. It was like that show Travelers, where people from the future came back and they had been misinformed about events, but they needed boots on the ground in our time because it was hundreds of thousands of years in the future. It's that kind of dynamic. So
where the facts were wrong in this time. It's sometimes you're not getting things quite right, or you're not decoding them correctly, and then you form the conduit and blah, it is. Again, only laying blame to those that have been warned. Don't do that connection, and also the ones, of course, that are intentionally doing it. So I just needed to inform you of that. So, and add to this of something that happened today, and it caused a huge stir on this property. I mean, bad. I was wondering what the hell was attacking me, and then I see the message in my Facebook Messenger. I went, oh no. And listened to it, and sure enough, describing in detail. That's great, you're logging it. Wonderful, wonderful. Do it in session. In the safety of the session. So, I'll leave this here. So it is 5:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, August 7th, 2025. Thank you.